Hey, yo, what's going on? It's KLA, Cloud the Wanderer, and I'm here with a guest. His name is Christopher Ford, and he's the creator of Dark Pink Comics. And yeah, man, thank you for taking the opportunity to talk with me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you reaching out.
Yeah. Forgive me, I didn't really read your comics or anything. I was just curious, I like the illustrations. And that's what made me wanted to reach out to you. Like what's Dark Comics about?
Well, Dark Pink is a story set in 1980s New Orleans, and has elements of like mystery. It's part mystery, part musical, in a unique way, and featuring monsters. So it's about a young lady named Dara Pinkerton who moves to New Orleans to become a private detective to kind of learn the trade, because her parents disappeared in New Orleans on vacation. So she's trying to go down there, figure out what happened. And so, yeah, she starts to try and become a detective so she can like kind of figure out what's going on. And then she kind of steps into a world that is a lot more darker and more dangerous than she originally expected. And we have some monsters and some like some treachery and some intrigue and all kind of craziness going on, all set to kind of like 80s hip hop and R&B, and those kind of musical and like 80s and also like 90s black pop culture references like littered throughout. So it's a little bit of, I kind of like to think of it as like Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets like Stranger Things meets like Misty Knight and Luke Cage.
Yeah. I mean, I was like a Buffy the Vampire fan and stuff. It took me a while to get into it. I ain't gonna
Yeah.
lie, when it came out, I was like, this is kind of bullshit. Then when I look at it now, it's like it is kind of bullshit, but I
It
kind
is,
of
yeah.
see why people liked it. You know what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
did have like a little depth to it, with the Slayer code and stuff like that. But yeah, I've never seen Stranger Things, but other than that, with the '80s, yeah, I kind of, I like the '80s a bit. It got some good memories to that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That's my era as well. So and I don't think a lot of like black, especially like comic books, so a lot of like black centered entertainment, really is like set in that period, because back in the 80s when we were in that specific time, there wasn't a lot of options for us, like as far as entertainment was concerned. So like outside of music, but like seeing yourself like on screen or like in a comic book or in a book even, it was like a little more, a little
it's
fewer
very
and
rare.
far in between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very
So like
rare.
that time is a good time to go back and put black characters in that time frame and really kind of give them their shine from that particular time.
Yeah. Well, I could show some illustrations. Yeah, I like the way how you did this with the Marvel thing.
Yeah.
That was cool, pretty cool. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
uh,
wanted to kind of like, show some, kind of give a vibe of something people are familiar with, but also, but with our, art and stuff in it, because we have a really good art team of people who have worked for Marvel and DC and Image, like all of the big boys. So we have, I think, some of the best art that you can really find in any independent comic book, because it's like really high level, award winning stuff. Like our colorist is a two-time Eisner Award winner, which is basically the Oscars of comic books. So he's at the
mm,
very very top, of his profession. And like I said, like we have three cover artists. They've all done stuff for Marvel and for DC. They've done stuff for like Hulk and um, even like a video games like Assassin's Creed and stuff like that, like their comic books. So we
mm,
have like just a really good team, and like hopefully, like I know like they did their part, you know, as far as the art is concerned. And I think I was able to put together like a pretty good story. We just put it out. I just finished fulfilling like the Kickstarter, and I've gotten a lot of really positive feedback from people saying they enjoyed the art and the story. So I'm very excited about that, and pleased how we've we've launched pretty well.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would like to check out the comic. Like I noticed that she has like a almost like a cybernetic arm.
Yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
has a
yeah.
golden cybernetic arm, which I was inspired a lot by Misty Knight, um, and,
Okay.
and and I like characters, and just like cybernetic robotic characters are just visually like very appealing to me. Like I love Misty, I love Cable, I love Winter Soldier. So I always wanted to kind of create a character that had like a robotic arm, and I decided to go ahead and make it gold, for a little bit of flair. And
No.
it's a bit of a mystery. Like her arm, I don't want to give away too much, but that'll be
Okay.
something explored throughout the series, because even she doesn't know about all of the things that it can do. So it's
No.
kind of going to be kind of its own character in a way, as an extension of her, but its own kind of thing, but also something to kind of make her stand out as a character and give her something unique.
Okay. Okay. Now you're a writer, or you don't really do the illustrations. You mostly write.
Yeah, no, I can't draw. It would have been a stick figure comic book if it would have been on me. I don't think anybody would have wanted to see that. So I created the story and the characters and the world and everything, and I wrote the script, and then we had artists kind of execute my vision. So like we have for the cover artist, we had Robin Smith, who worked on Wonder Woman for DC. We have Karan Grant, and we have Kari Evans. They both worked for Marvel, and Kari Evans was actually the person that inspired this whole project, because he did a
Mm,
cover of Daughters of the Dragon, which is like which was Misty's like comic book with Colleen Wing. And I walked into a comic book store one time. This was in the early 2000s, and I saw the cover, and I was just like, "Who?" Hadn't even heard of Misty at this point, and but the cover looked so dope, that I just bought it like sight unseen, and then I became a fan through that. And later on, when I finally got around to figuring out I could actually make this a comic book, like I went and reached out to Kari. I found him on the internet and got him to do one of the covers. He did the Malcolm X inspired cover, and Robin, she did the Sade inspired cover, and then Karan did the Purple Rain inspired cover. And then the interior artist is an artist named PJ Kayawa. He's an Afro Brazilian artist, and he's worked like on Assassin's Creed and a few other projects. And then the colorist is Marco Lesko, and he's like I said, a two-time Eisner Award winner. He just won like last year the 2025 Eisner for coloring for his work on Godzilla. And he's done like Blade Runner and a bunch of other stuff. So like I came with the ideas. I kind of wrote the script, which is a comic book script is very different from like writing like a book or even like a film script. But they were able to kind of take it, because you just have to kind of give them a general idea, saying like, okay, this panel I want Dara sitting at her desk talking to a client, and then this next panel I want that same environment from a different angle, or Dara's frowning or something like that, and just kind of let them like flesh out the world, and then we throw in the dialogue. So this is a very interesting process. It takes a lot of people, um, people that can write, draw, color, and letter a comic book. That's a special skill set that I think very few people have. Usually it's like a whole team of people. So, you know, we had I was lucky enough to like put together like I think a very talented team, and I think like I said earlier, I think the art is some of the best art that you can see that you'll find like in an indie comic book because we got like the best of the best creators, and you know I invested into it, and I think I got out like a really great product.
Yeah, like that. How long did it take you to write this story?
Um, I originally started it out like since I had this idea for like such a long time. Back when I first had the idea, I didn't think I could ever make a comic because I didn't draw and I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any artists.
Mhm.
So I actually wrote it as like a television pilot script at the beginning. And then a few years ago, when it started to kind of become a potential reality that I actually could make it a comic book, I first started reaching out to people, and then once I kind of got the team together, like I restructured the script into a comic book script, and that took me probably like 3 months, something like that. It was a bit of a transition because comics are supposed to be much shorter. So you usually the average comics like in the mid 20s as far as the page count. When I first did the script, it was like at 70 pages or something crazy, and I was just like, okay, I can't produce this. This will cost like $15,000 or something. So I had to kind of condense it a little bit. So that took a little bit of extra time, but then as we ran the Kickstarter and we actually earned enough money, I was able to expand it again into the final page count is 88 pages worth of art and story. So it's a big undertaking because it has the full first issue and then three side stories and then like some like I threw in some like 80s style PSAs like from like the GI Joe cartoons, like kind of taking that but throwing our character talking to like people, kind of giving them like kind of a little cheesy but a kind of funny interesting like little short flips, kind of showing like a different side of the character.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I noticed you got had some influence. Like this kind of reminds me of Kill Bill a bit.
Yeah, yeah. Pop culture references are
The
a
bride
big,
from Kill Bill. Yeah.
yeah, they're a big deal. That's part of the DNA of the comic. Like I wanted to have like the picture on the screen, like he's dressed. Trey, her assistant, that outfit is what LL Cool J wore, like for the cover of Bad, his album
Mhm.
Bad. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of like little things thrown in there. There's a scene where Dara is dressed like Whitley Gilbert from A Different World. She has one of the outfits from one of her like more famous scenes. So that's like I said, that's one of the cornerstones is like having that those pop culture references. Like the covers are all um, remakes or paying homage to certain, famous things like album covers and the Malcolm X scene. So yeah, I wanted it to be like for people who grew up around that time, they can catch a lot of stuff. And then for people who are kind of younger, they can just enjoy it as it is. So I wanted to kind of, merge those two worlds together. Throw in a lot of stuff that I grew up enjoying, and that's the beauty of like creating your own thing. You can just kind of throw in whatever you want. So, you got the center's influence right there.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just wanted to throw in stuff that I enjoy, and that people are also like familiar with, so they can have that instant connection to something they've never seen before. They're not familiar with the project or the characters. They can kind of see something that they're familiar with, and they'll be like, okay, I know what that's from. Now, what is this in that world? And kind of like draw them in.
Yeah, I got this one illustration. You got Purple Rain, the Purple Rain one. I can't move my camera, my phone right now. It got
Yeah,
stuck a little bit. I
no, no.
don't want to like that, but yeah, it's some cool illustrations that I've seen. Wow, that's pretty cool. That
Yeah,
you also got in touch with other artists and stuff. So yeah.
yeah. Karan Grant did that cover when I had first. That was one of the first ideas I had for like an image for the comics. I'm a big Prince fan, and that's like a very iconic image, from that time period. And when I first approached Karan, he was like, "Oh yeah, like I have some ideas for like the covers." I told him about the character and the setup for everything, and I was like, "Well, I do have an idea." He's like, "What do you got?" I was like, "I want to pay homage to like the Purple Rain cover," and he was like, "Okay, forget it." He threw away his other ideas because he's a huge Prince
Mm.
fan, as well as like, yeah, we got to do that. So he put it together. I think he did a beautiful job. It's a gorgeous cover, and it's been very popular. It's our number one cover as far as like people purchasing it and people selecting it on the Kickstarter. Yeah, and I love it. I think it's just a amazing piece of art, just separately from it being a part of my comic book.
Yeah. I mean, is there like a volumes to it? Like is it like continuous like issues? I don't know. Just
Um, this is
asking.
the this is the first one right now. So we just did it. We did the Kickstarter last year. I got it fulfilled. I finished mailing out because we were very, very successful. Um, we actually ended up being in the top 1% of comic book Kickstarters ever, like as far as the success was concerned. So we ended up selling 1,720 copies, which is a ton. And so I finally finished packing and shipping them all out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So now people can just get it straight off the website. And now I can start working on issue number two. Like I have the outline ready. I just got to write the script, and PJ is going to do the interiors. I already talked to Robin. She did the Sade cover about doing another cover, and I have an idea. Actually, I know all the covers. I just got to get the cover artist, and then we will be able to launch it. Probably do the Kickstarter in the next couple of months, so like early summer. Like I learned a lot from this first go round. I had never written a comic before, so I had written a couple books, like children's books, but a comic book is a whole different beast. And it took a little while, because I was like learning on the fly. But now I know what to do, like how to work with the artist and what a realistic time frame is for everything and how much stuff is going to cost and all that good stuff. So this one should go like a lot smoother. The second one, and hopefully, I mean, fingers crossed. The goal would be to do two issues this year, like one in the summer, one in the fall, winter, right around holidays. Um, and yeah, just keep going. Like I have a ton of ideas. Like I already have like an overarching idea for like the first like five issues. So the goal would be, once we get things really going smoothly, to put out like one a quarter. So it'd be like one every 3 months. So two more this year, then four in 2027, and just like keep the ball rolling. So we're here. We got Dark Pink number one. It's out, available now on darkpinkcomics.com. You can pick that up. And it's a full story. It has like a larger kind of backstory, but in the issue, you get a full, like this is her first, well, technically her second case. And she follows it through from beginning to end. And then there's other things that are happening that she'll have to continue to work on. But you'll get, a beginning, a middle, and an end, for this case and for this issue. So, I want to leave people on like a crazy cliffhanger. I mean, but there is a cliffhanger, but it's more for what's to come over time. But you get your full story, something you can enjoy with a bunch of additional content. We have three short stories and then those PSAs, like I said. So it's like 88 pages. It's like basically three comic books in one. worth of like really, really good art and hopefully very good storytelling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's pretty cool. Like, do you have like a co-writer like outside you, or
No, no, I wrote every word that's in Dark Pink #1 was written by me. I might, if I can collab with some more writers and stuff in the future, like I would love to do that. Like I'll also like thinking about hopefully maybe doing like some crossovers with some other like indie comic book like IPs and stuff. So like that's like kind of like the long term goal. But yeah, for Dark Pink #1, I wrote it all, and then got a nice strong team of artists to kind of bring it to life. So I think we worked with, including like the short stories and the PSAs, about a dozen like different artists.
yeah, yeah. I thought you was gonna say more. I thought
Oh,
I
oh.
didn't. My bad. Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Like earlier you said before you were saying that you wrote children's book. Like, how was that for you? Like, what kind of stories you would write with children books, and like I'm assuming they publish, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wrote a series, 3 books. They're about black father and son relationships. Like I wanted to kind of put something positive about that out into the world, and so like I just drew from like my own personal experiences with my father and told the story. Is basically the kid version of me and then the dad version of my dad, teaching the kid like life lessons through sports, because me and my dad, we bonded a lot, through sports. And I feel like sports is a good way to kind of teach kids like life lessons. Like you can apply things like directly through like the ups and downs of like playing sports, especially at a young age. So the books, they're uh, with that is like kind of the name of the series, because each one has a play. Like the first one is a baseball book, so it's Playing Catch with Dad is the first book, and the second book was about basketball, so it's called Shooting Hoops with Dad, and then the third one was with soccer, so it was Kicking It with Dad. So, and all those books, they're on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, and I have my own website where people can order books, with Dad books with an S at the end.com. And yeah, like they're all out in print, and you can order them. I have some at, sitting here at the house. If people want a autographed one, like they can just message me and I can shoot it out to them. So yeah, I have been writing and doing that, but I always was a big comic book fan. So I wanted to do a comic book, but I just didn't think that I could get with artists, because I can't draw. But now,
Yeah,
with social media and also like the expense, like creating a comic book is very expensive if you can't draw, because you have to pay someone to draw it, you got to pay
yeah,
someone to color it,
yeah,
you got to pay somebody to put the speech bubbles in it. So it's can be a pretty pricey thing, especially if you're trying to hire a good artist. And I just didn't think that was possible for the longest time. But once I kind of started to like kind of build connections and being able to reach out to people through social media, like that's how I found most of the artists, was just like I
yeah,
DM'd them and asked them if they're available and how much they would cost. And that's something that I couldn't do like 10 years ago when I was wanting to do it originally. So like I wrote the children's books. I was like, I can write and publish a book. Um, even though the first one, it took me like 2 years to write. The other two took me about 6 months each. But the first one is just kind of get my feet wet as far as like writing a book was concerned. But I think that really did help me like improve like my writing and my writing process to kind of get this done. Because like I said, when I was trying to transfer the script from just like a TV show script to a comic book script, it only took me a few months, because I'd been doing so much writing the past like 5-6 years before that. Like I kind of knew where to kind of edit things, because that's another thing when you're writing. It's like self editing because you think everything that you write is like so great and you don't want to cut stuff, but you got to kind of learn to like, let things go. And that was something, that's probably the main thing I learned, like writing the children's books was, the first one was really, really long because I kept everything in it. And then it took me a long time to complete. And then I was starting to, refine my process. Like, okay, well, this is good, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in that. Or we can combine these two scenes here and there into one scene and, just kind of take out the filler. And so like I learned a lot through like writing the children's books. And once I get some free time, like I said, I already have the outline done. I could write the script for Dark Pink #2 in probably 3 weeks, to be honest with you. I just need the free time. I've been working a lot like on the marketing and making sure we get number one like up and running and get a strong, really strong like fan base from it. But I'm gonna be kind of slowing that down a little bit, like delegating some of the responsibilities to some marketing companies and stuff like that. And then, I can knock out #2 and, give the people, some more of the story. Like I said, we got a really, really good response from #1. So I know people like it. They like the character. They want to see more. So yeah, that's my plan, to give them some more, is give them as much as as much as I can.
Yeah. Did you take like writing courses? Like you ever took like writing courses? Like went to like a school and like you know like took like a writing class? That's what I'm trying to ask you.
Yeah, yeah. I was a communications major in college, so I had to take writing class. I had to take journalism classes. So, I've been like writing just like on my own and for work and for fun since I graduated from college. So,
Mm,
I just kind of started to get into publishing my stuff in the last like 8 years or so.
yeah.
Now with all these companies and with social media and stuff like that, you can self-publish now and you can get your stuff out there to people. Like it wasn't a realistic option, like even like 10 years ago, really. But now you can. So if you have an idea and you can execute it, you can get it to the people. And now that I have been doing that for like the last like 8 years or so, like there's no stopping, no slowing down for me. I just want to continue to pump out these creative writings. And yeah, I got to use my college degree anyway. So
Yeah.
Sally Mae, they were getting my money, so I need to get some of my money back.
Yeah. I mean, I used to try to like over the years, I've tried to write, a comic book, but my own graphic novel, whatever, but it didn't really turn out the way I wanted to. Like I did like I was like in this art instruction school and they wanted us to do like a comic book, a mini comic. And so I made like this comic book about this dude. His name was Han Xin. He lived around in ancient China and stuff, and he was like a general. And it was one scene where he run into this hoodlum, and the hoodlum kind of was like challenging him, and it was like to a point where he didn't want to fight back, so he went between his legs. To the hoodlum was challenging him like, if you don't kill me, you gotta crawl between my legs and type of stuff. And I did a little bit of the story to that, but they wanted me to. I don't know. Like my thing was the design too, the character design and stuff like that. So it wasn't easy doing that.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. No, it's not easy at all. Like I had like a very like specific thought in my head because I've been thinking about this comic for such a long time of like what I wanted the character to look like. And when I got the first like covers back, those were the first things like I worked on. And I was telling like the artist and stuff about the character. Like I wanted to make sure, like she had glasses, like pink braids and freckles and a golden arm. And you kind of like go from there, everybody. And what they all came back, all three covers, like she looks a little different because it's each artist's interpretation of it. But it actually came out like different from what I had envisioned in my head the whole time, but better. But that's just because I was like lucky enough to hire some really really good artists. Like that was that was the thing, because if it would have just been me, like I said, it wouldn't have been any good. Because
Yeah.
my original plan was I was gonna fund the comic book myself. Like I had like literally saved money for like 2.5 years of how
Right.
much it might cost. And so I was getting ready. I had already talked to like the cover artist. I was gonna just get two, but like I was like, okay, I have this money. I'll hire the artist and we'll start the process. And I right before I was really about to do it, like I just had the idea of maybe like trying Kickstarter to um raise the money. Like I could put the money that I already had into like making some preview art, and then have everybody support it. And then that way, like I didn't just spend like all of the money to make it, and then I would have to start from ground zero as far as like building a fan base. It's like I can use Kickstarter and the money like I've already saved to build the fan base, because Kickstarter, like every person that pledges is basically they bought it already. So
Yeah.
exactly like when it's done, it's like, okay, I know I have you know this amount of people that have basically already bought it, so I know if it's like gonna be successful or not before I even like ship out a single issue. So that was like, for me, a very important, a very pivotal decision was, saving up that money so I could get the best artists that I could personally afford at the time, and then kind of let them do their thing. Like I try not to micromanage them because they're all professionals. Like they've done this stuff for years. Like all of them are veterans in the industry,
Right.
and then taking like the covers and using that as like a proof of concept to show people and say, hey, would you be interested in backing something like this? And I was lucky enough to kind of, you know, it hit a nerve with people, and they were interested and they wanted to support it. And we were able to, like I said, become one of the most successful, uh, truly one of the most successful indie comic book Kickstarter campaigns of all time. I mean, most of the people that are ahead of us are like major artists that do stuff for Marvel, who are just selling their art book of the covers that they did for Marvel. It's not even really a comic book, technically, or it's like an established IP like The Witcher, or Keanu Reeves had a Kickstarter for a comic book that he made. So of course it made, a whole bunch of money as Keanu Reeves. So but outside of that, like you're talking strictly independent, people are really doing it, out of the mud, so to speak. Like we're probably in the top maybe like 10, like period, of most successful. So that's something I'm very proud of, and it just speaks a lot to people like connecting mostly with the character and the art, and knowing that like this is I created something, a person or a character that got people interested and wanted to be invested, and kind of wanting to see what she's doing because she looks so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken to people that was in your shoes. They not illustrators, but they were mostly writers, and then they collaborated with somebody that could draw. Of course, they had to pay them and stuff like that. Yeah, and some people they went through the Kickstarter. I'm still trying to, I I'm not too entirely familiar with how the Kickstarter works, but from what they telling me, from what they told me, it's like similar to what you're telling me about, putting your work through Kickstarter. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's really like the way to go. Like my advice would be like to save up some money so you can kind of get some art done. And throw some money like into promoting it, into like marketing it, like on like social media and stuff like that. You do those two things, you're putting yourself in a situation to where you can succeed. You know, I think like I see a lot of like I go on Kickstarter a lot just to look like at the comics and stuff. And I see like a lot of the ones that like don't get funded or ones that like don't really have any art yet. They're like really starting from scratch and saying
Yeah.
give me some money, here's like a paragraph about the story. But I think having the art or some art done, um it brings like the words to life because people still need to see it. People don't just want to read like a synopsis of the story. They kind of want to see like the character or the world that you're kind of putting together. So, if you save up, it just you only need like 2 or 3 pictures. You don't need like 100. You don't need the book to be done or anything like that. Like I started with 3 covers. Like that was like literally it. Um, and like I think the covers looked cool, and then I spent some money like to market it because if you tell me if I spend $1,000 to market something and that I'll make $2,000 off of that, then I'll do it. Why not? It's a lot easier to make $2,000 um like using $1,000 to market it than it is just to make $1,000 with no marketing.
Mm.
So, like I try to tell people like that's what I did, and it worked out really well. And because I don't have any name or connections in the comic book industry before this. Like I literally knew one person, another writer who actually appears as like the main vampire villain in my comic. He agreed to like let me use his likeness, but he's also a writer as well. And um, his name is Greg Elsey, and that was like it. But he's also another indie creator, so I was able to like get these Marvel and DC people involved because like I reached out to them and I paid them to create the art, and then the art came out really well, and then I used that really nice art. I promoted it, spent some money on the ads and the marketing campaign, and people got to see like the really good art that they created. And then it just kind of snowballed and rolled and kept growing and going from there. And then next thing you know, like I have a super successful Kickstarter, and I'm about to start working on the second one. But like I said, I see a lot of people that just kind of put like, here's my story, and hopefully you'll give me some money, and then that's it. But you gotta put in a little time, a little bit of money into it before to help build it, because the money that you put in, you'll get it back. If you show people something and they can like not touch it, but they can see it, they can feel it, they can understand it more visually, and then you can just build from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's yeah, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, because I know it's not easy trying to get these artists, man. Like sometimes, especially like in DC or Marvel, just even like want to talk to them because they're always busy. And so that, like, did you, did you, so you saved the money that you had for them to pay, for you to pay them. If
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Like I said, it took me like 2.5 years, but I
Mm.
saved up about like $10,000, and
Okay.
like I didn't do anything in those 2 years. I like was at the house, just stacking it up, and um I was able to like I reached out to like a ton of artists, and of course you know some of them replied like, oh well, you know, I'm too busy. I remember I talked to one artist that's doing stuff for DC, and she was like, oh, I'm booked up for like literally for a year. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. And then, you know, some just don't respond at all.
Yeah,
And you get
yeah,
some that do. Like basically everyone that responded, like I hired. So like I wanted Corey Evans the most because he inspired the project. And so he's the first person I reached out to. Thankfully, like he agreed. Like he was you know, good to go. But
that's good.
I reached out to, you know, like I said, I worked with like a dozen different artists on, you know, the comic and like creating like promotional artwork and stuff for it. Um, but I probably reached out to like 100 artists, and then I got like 12 to 20 like actual responses. So you know, you get a lot of rejection and all that stuff, but you got to just like keep on pressing on, and you know, the people that you need will be the people that say yes anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah, you know, just reaching out because you know they're at least somewhat accessible because you can find, you know, everyone's on Instagram, all of them, because they got to post their art. So you go in there, you can just DM them. Someone will have their emails, you know, in their bio and stuff. You can just you know, shoot them an email if they don't read your DM, and you know, you'll get some people to respond because you know, the artists that are, you know, really like on the grind like you are, like they'll get with you. And you know, there's a lot of even the successful ones that are like super hungry and like super into working and stuff, like the colorist Marco. um I hit him up, uh and like he's super busy, but he was like, "Oh well, you know, like what's your timeline?" I was like, "I can work with yours, you know, to get it done. Like if you're available to do it, because he's so good at his job." He was like, "Okay, well, you know, if you work with me, I'll work with you." And we kind of came up with like a good schedule to where he could still do his stuff for Marvel that he was doing, and still like finish up the Godzilla thing that he actually ended up winning another Eisner for. So he was doing all that stuff while he was working with mine on the side. And but he's like, even though he's super successful, like he's super hungry and always like, you know, ready to work and create and work with, you know, artists like big and small. And you find those people, and you know, you kind of build a nice team, you know, with them. Like even to this day, like he reposts the stuff like all the time, and he finished doing the coloring stuff like at this point like 6 months ago. But he still like you know, helps out and promotes it because he's you know, about the grind and working and building relationships. And there's plenty of artists that are, you know, like too big for you and all that stuff, but there's also plenty that are, you know, like to work with, you know, up and coming artists, and will work with you. And those are the type of people that you want, because they'll help you like they'll help you bring your vision to life.
right. Yeah, that's good, man. That I take it as I look at it as a blessing for you. You know, I know you're gonna get, you know, it's almost like talking to a girl a bit, like talking to women. You know, you get a lot of rejections, but if you keep doing it, you know, you're gonna get somebody that be interested.
Yeah,
That's what from
yeah,
what you
yeah,
tell
yeah.
me. Yeah,
It's not about the nose, it's about the yeses. You know, the right one is going to say yes. You
yeah,
know, so and that's all you. You know, you're not looking for everybody. You're looking for the right one.
right, right. Like since you did this comic, like you just put it in Kickstarter. Have you been to like any comic book conventions and just promoting it?
Not yet. Like I said, I just
Um,
got like the like finished mailing stuff out, but I am
okay.
signing up to go for some go start going to cons like in like the next couple months. Like I will be going to some cons here in Texas where I'm from. I gotta get those in now because I want to go to New York Comic Con
Yeah,
this
it's expensive. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, but I feel like because my project has been so successful, it has like at least a little bit of buzz, and like if I can get a couple conventions under my belt, they can see that like I'm in like the circuit and everything, and I have a
Yeah,
successful comic book, and I'm working with other people that are going to be there. Like half the artists that are in working on the book are going to be at New York Comic Con, so
that's
like they
pretty
can,
cool.
yeah, so they can kind of vouch for me and show them like, oh, this is just some guy just like putting in an application and has an imaginary project. It's like
Mm.
a full-fledged thing, with a successful Kickstarter under his belt, and like a real legit website and all the whole 9 yards. So yeah, I'm excited to start like getting on the con circuit. I think the first one I'm supposed to go to is in May, so I'm excited about that, kind of see how it goes. Hopefully it goes really well. So like the plan is like do May, June, July, then hopefully
In
NYC
Texas?
in August.
In Texas or in
Yeah.
NYC?
Well, yeah, like I want to start here because it'll be easier. Like
Oh,
the first
okay.
one I'm going
All
to is
right.
in San Antonio, which is just a couple
All
hours.
right. Oh, okay.
Then there's one here in Houston that I'm gonna do, and then there's actually like two, no, like three here in Houston I'm gonna do throughout the year, but the other ones are like later in the year in the fall and winter. Um, but yeah, like I want to go to New York Comic Con. I want to like maybe go do some in Louisiana, like Atlanta, um, also Boston, because for whatever reason I was looking at like kind of the demographics when I was mailing out all the stuff. I got a lot of sales from Massachusetts, which is
Mm.
very interesting to me because it's like this is a comic book about a young black woman in New Orleans. So to Massachusetts be the biggest supporter, like just numbers wise, like order wise, was interesting. But it means that hey, I should go up there, like and we got a lot from New York too. Like I used to live in New York. I used to live in Brooklyn. So like I saw a lot of addresses, and I was like, oh yeah, I know where that street is. I know where this place is. So I hope I can go to New York Comic Con. Hope they'll accept me. I'm gonna be going to New York anyway in May. Yeah, and
Okay.
just about a month just for vacation. So and see some of my old friends, and um hopefully I can kind of get a feel for like whatever they are looking for, so I can kind of get accepted, because it's such a popular con that they get like a
Yeah.
ton of
Yeah.
like
I'm,
applications and stuff, and I got to make
yeah.
sure how mine stands out.
Yeah, I was there like what, like over 10 years ago. I met my old classmate there. He used to he's a comic book artist, and he did like Batgirl and in the 2000s and stuff like that. He did Spider-Man, and yeah, so yeah, I met him, you know, I didn't even realize he was a comic book artist. I had one of his issues,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah. And then I was like, I seen his name there. I was like, is this the same person I knew when, in junior high school? And so, he seen me in the train, and, we was just talking brief. And so a friend of mine at the time, he invited me to go to Comic Con, and that's where I seen him. I was like, oh shit. Like, I didn't know you
Yeah,
still. I
man,
was like,
small world, man, small
yeah,
world.
yeah. So,
Nah, that's
yeah,
that's that's dope, man. That's somebody maybe you can get into contact with. Like it don't matter if what they did was like a long time ago or what. Because like I said, Kari Evans, who did one of the covers, like his
yeah.
Marvel run was like a while ago. Like I saw his comic book in the store in like 2008. You know, and he did like Thor through like 2012.
Mm.
Um, but you still say, hey, I got somebody who did something for Marvel, and I did something for DC, or you know Boom or Skybound, or IDW or whatever. So like a mix of like established artists and then like young up and coming artists that will do like work for you for like a more reasonable price, because some guys are kind of expensive. But you also, sometimes you do get what you pay for. Like like I said, our artists, like I put it up against anything that Marvel or DC is putting out. Like the art, the quality of the book is very high end. It looks like anything that you can see at a comic book store that has Batman or Superman or Black Panther on the cover. I think our stuff is just as good.
Yeah.
Like I'm very, very proud of the job like all the artists did on the project. Very proud of it.
Yeah, you was talking about the setting, you was saying that this girl, like she's in the setting is New Orleans. Like for you, like what's the significance to New Orleans? Like why New Orleans? That's what I'm trying to ask.
Well, I'm from Houston, and New Orleans is basically like our sister city.
Oh, okay.
It's actually, we're closer to New Orleans than we are to like a lot of the other big cities in Houston, in Texas, because we're like right on the east end of the state, so it's easy to go there. My dad is from Louisiana. I used to go
Oh,
to New Orleans all the time. When I was a kid, and I wanted an interesting setting that's different, because like so many comic books are set, like if it's a modern day comic book, it's set in New York, or like a fictionalized
yeah.
version of New
Mhm.
York. So I wanted to kind of get out of that. And since the story has a lot of supernatural elements, a lot of mysticism, monsters and voodoo and the whole nine, there's no better place to have a story with those elements than New Orleans. And like one
Yeah.
of the big premises is like I wanted to have a place where if someone said, "Oh, I saw a vampire," the other person wouldn't look at them crazy. You know, they would be like, "Oh, maybe that's legit." Because it's such a city like steeped in like that mysticism, and has like a really really long history with a lot of the like occult and supernatural and stuff like that. So I didn't think there would be a better, cooler setting, and then like throwing the 80s into it, so it's like, there aren't cell phone, like everyone doesn't have a camera phone, so you have to rely on a lot of like rumors and word on the street and stuff like that. So it kind of adds to the mystery of the whole thing.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Like how old are you? Like and what was the 80s? What like reminiscent to the 80s was there for you? Like did you used to read a lot of comics at the time? Like or you like watch cartoons or I don't know.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of cartoons. I was big in like the 80s. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. So I was
Okay.
all about like G.I. Joe and Transformers. And then, getting to the 90s, you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You got like Thundercats, like the whole, like all of that stuff was like talking to me. And then the X-Men cartoon came out, and you couldn't tell me nothing when I was watching the original 90s X-Men stuff. And it's just like always wanted to kind of be in that world. And then as I got older, I was like, I want to create something that has like the effect that those things have on me. Like I want to give that to someone else. Like I want to create like a character that people can connect to, or like a world or something that makes them feel like how I felt like watching, like my favorite cartoons, and like reading comic books back in the day. And then also like I wanted to get more representation, because like growing up at that time, you just still all of those cartoons. You have your one, maybe a second black character.
Yeah.
So like I wanted to have create something where it's a predominantly black cast, because we were there in the 80s. It wasn't just like the one, random black superhero with the whole crew. Like, we were out doing stuff. We were a part of the country and a part of anything that was happening, we were probably creating and then we're taking anyway, So I just wanted to kind of bring that time like back with more black characters, because at that time when I was growing up, I didn't get to see enough of them. You know,
Yeah.
um, you got Storm, and then Bishop would show up like once a season, randomly. There's a Black Panther was actually in the X-Men cartoon, but literally for like in one scene for 3 seconds, and he didn't say anything. He was just like standing there watching a rocket go off, and that was like that's your Black Panther, um, you know, cartoon television appearance like in the 90s. That was it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to have seen more like of us, like in GI Joe, in X-Men, in the Spider-Man cartoon, in Batman the animated series, all that stuff. I would have loved to seen more, more of us. And so I just wanted to create something like, hey, if this was if my comic book came out in the 80s, it would have been, like fitting in well with all of that stuff, just with a lot of black people in it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember. There was this cartoon. I just realized it was made by Filmation, and it was this black superhero. I think he was Elastic, and this other girl. Yeah, I forgot the name of it, but they were like they was like two like superheroes, like a dynamic duo, and it didn't stay long, but yeah, I just seen it like years later. This
Yeah,
came out
and
like
it
in the
sounds it
70s.
sounds familiar. I kind of see it in my head, but
Yeah,
I can't think of the name of it either, because I had done a lot of research on like
yeah,
uh black superheroes and comics and stuff of the time for another project
yeah.
I was working on. And that's something that strikes a nerve, like something familiar with me. But yeah, I can't remember either. But yeah, it's such a
Mm.
so few and far between
Yeah,
that
but they
um
didn't have that many. That I get
yeah,
it. They didn't have too many things that you could resonate with. So yeah. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, the '80s was cool. It was cool. Yeah, for me, I used to like watching cartoons a lot. My thing was the Super Friends and Spider Man and His Amazing Friends and
yeah.
the Littles and yeah,
Oh, the
yeah,
Littles, wow, yeah.
Thundercat.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
throwback
right.
right there.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would love to check your comic, man. Like like I could yeah, like I'll check it out on Kickstarter. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, the Kickstarter the page is still up, but it's like you can't order off of there anymore, but you can see it. But actually, you can go to darkpinkcomics.com. That's like our website. Yeah, and it
DarkPinkComics.com.
has
Okay.
the whole nine. And I can shoot you like for the Kickstarter. I had created something called Dark Pink Zero, which was like a preview of everything, and had a
Yeah.
bunch of behind the scenes stuff and extra art, but also like the beginning of the story and one of the short stories in there, like that I sent to everyone that backed it. It was like a free gift to kind of hold people over while I was actually finishing up the comic and stuff. But I can send that to you so you can just have that,
Yeah.
to
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. My alarm went off.
Okay.
But yeah, it'll kind of give you a nice taste. It's like 30 pages of stuff. Like,
Okay.
and then yeah, if you like it, you can check out the whole comic. The digital copy is only $12. So
Yeah, I
for
could do
anybody
that.
that's
Yeah.
interested, and like I said, like the comic is almost 90 pages of art and story. It's a lot, and I wanted to make sure I gave people like more than their money's worth. Like, I wanted people because I didn't know if it was going to be successful, if I ever could make another one again. So I was like, I'm gonna just throw in everything I could think of in this one and then see where it goes. And luckily, it's gone very well. So I will be able to do a second and a third and a fourth, etc. From there. But yeah, I want to send you the Dark Pink Zero so you can check that out. And then yeah, for everybody else, like I said, darkpinkcomics.com. You can check us out on Instagram at Dark Pink Comics. Same thing on Facebook. And yeah, just check it out. Like I said, it was a labor of love, something I put a lot of my blood, sweat, and tears and money into. And it came out, I think it came out great. We've got a awesome response to it. And people are already hitting me up with like, I need to read more. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get to work on it. So I think if you check it out, I think you will really enjoy it.
Yeah, I got two more questions. Like, what, like, why you pick dark pink comics, and are you gonna do like stories outside of your character?
Yeah, I chose the name Dark Pink. It was like one of the first things when I started just thinking about the idea when I saw that Daughters of the Dragon cover back in the day. I was like, I want to do something like I wanted the character to have like pink braids, and I want it to be kind of a like dark noir, like monster filled mystery story. So Dark Pink, like literally just like clicked into my head, and to
Okay.
kind of put it together, like her name is Dara Pinkerton. So you have the DAR for the dark, and then pink is in her name. And so you put that together, that's the name like of her detective agency that she's starting up. And it's kind of like a play on words, something that has like kind of a couple of meanings because it kind of describes her, like her look, it kind of describes the world, and it like incorporates her name into it. So it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I thought it was kind of witty.
Is
I thought I
it?
got with that. And yeah, like I have some ideas for more stories like outside and inside and outside. Like I would like to do like a manga about her like in college, like a kind of a prequel. I also want to do like another prequel like starring her parents, like set in the 60s, kind of being like a James Bond type of spy thriller type of story. But also like I want to do like a horror, like just outside of Dark Pink, I want to do like a horror, like a 90s horror comic. Something kind of like from like kind of like the horror movies from the 80s and 90s, like a Nightmare on Elm Street, a Friday the 13th
Yeah.
vibe, but kind of set in an urban setting, like in like the 90s. Starring
Okay.
black people, because the joke about black people being the first people to die in horror movies. Like I want to kind of do a play on that where everybody's black, so that can't be the case, and how they, we would have acted if they would have put more of us into the movies at the time. Like I kind of want to do like a lot of like representation for like the time when I was growing up and I didn't get to see enough, representation in all the media that I was consuming, like all the cartoons and the comic books and the horror movies and the action movies that I watched. I want to kind of go back and kind of put my like kind of spin on it with us, like, at the forefront.
Yeah, I would love to see. I was thinking like a Back to the Future type of thing. Like
Oh man, X is one of my
yeah,
favorite of all
yeah,
time.
like yeah, it'd have been dope if they had like a it don't have to be exactly like Back to the Future, but it would always like in the back of my mind, like something similar to that, like
Yeah,
I don't want to say reboot, but like a little bit different,
yeah, yeah.
like yeah, black
Ah,
people travel back in time and stuff like that. That'd be cool, like a black Doc Brown and a black Marty McFly, but in a different way. It don't have like where they at, but somewhere it could be in Brooklyn or something like that.
yeah. Nah, that
Something
would
like
be dope. Yeah, nah,
Yeah,
man, I love Back to the Future. When I go up to New York, I was trying to see if I can go to see the Broadway show of that,
yeah,
you know. And yeah, Back to the Future 2 is one of my favorite movies of all time.
yeah,
Like definitely top 10 for me. And so is Back to the Future 1. I even like Back to the Future 3. I know people be hating on it,
yeah.
but I'll sit and watch it. If it's on TV, I'll 100% watch it.
I
And I
never
got
get tired of
super happy.
watching that. Yeah, I never get tired of watching that for some reason.
Yeah, no,
Could
no,
watch that.
I watch them. Yeah, I watch them at least a couple times a year.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you know, I wanted those Air Mags like bad. Um, they like $10,000 on eBay though. Like, so like that won't be in my collection, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Back to the Future is a classic, man. I love that movie.
yeah, man. Yeah,
That's and that's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, let me yeah, I really appreciate you, giving me the opportunity to speak with you. Yeah. I hope we run into each other, if you come with the NYC, we could talk there. Or, I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
about
yeah, for
the
sure.
Comic Con and stuff,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Hey, if I come to Comic Con, yeah, I'll definitely hook you up. Or hit you up, man. You gotta yeah, if I'm in there, man, you gotta come through the booth and stuff, man. We
it's
gotta.
expensive. Yeah, like I gotta look at the prices though. I don't want to just
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
oh, yeah. I know it's like 100 to be over there and stuff like that. And sometimes I'll be a little bit distracted by other things. So, but
yeah.
yeah,
Nah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see,
Well, yeah.
man.
Well, hey, man, we can link up outside of the at the con too. Because if I do go up there, I'll be up there. Like probably like a little bit before, and probably stay a little bit after. Since I used to live there, like I know a ton of people that live
Yeah.
like in Brooklyn and out in Jersey and stuff. So
Right.
it'll be my time to catch up with everybody.
All right. So, yeah. Thanks again, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
thank you
I'm
for
gonna
having
wrap it
me, man.
up.
I really appreciate it. I'm glad you came across my project and you were interested enough in it to reach out to me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Let's do it again in the future.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, when I'm ready to do number two, man. Then I'll holler at you for sure.
Yeah. So.